air travel is the safest mode of travel. In fact, it is 10 times safer than train travel, and in India, it is 17 times safer than train travel. Every accident is an accident that is unacceptable. Pending the investigation, detached from it, we must have a completely independent agency looking into the safety aspect of these airlines.
Okay. Dr. Anand Ranganathan, I want to ask you, it's not about a cheap Chinese phone that we are talking about that exploded catching fire. It's a machine costing crores. It's a machine that fell down, crashed. We do not know the reason. It cost us the lives of 241 inside the aircraft, 29 outside the aircraft.
Good evening, Hina, and good evening to my fellow panelists, all of whom are experts. I speak strictly as a layman, so I apologize on that front up. I have three very brief points to make. And of course, firstly, what you say is absolutely true. Everyone is concerned about the safety aspects of it. But I want to put, again, as a layman, facts on the table and then leave the viewers to decide what is the best option available. And since yesterday, understandably so, there have been, especially your viewers and so many other people who are very anxious as far as air travel is concerned. So I would just like to put the facts on the table and reassure everyone that air travel is the safest mode of travel. In fact, it is 10 times safer than train travel, and in India it is 17 times safer than train travel. And of course, even one accident is one too many, especially if it's a fatal crash. But please remember, since the induction of the Dreamliner 15 years ago, this is the first and only fatal crash. In fact, since 15 years post-induction, Dreamliner has completed 30 million flight hours. And this is the first one. But as I said, you know, these are just facts that I'm putting on the table. If they reassure people, that's great. But at the same time, we really need to find out the reasons why this happened, because this, of course, we cannot afford this to happen again. Now, a couple of quick points. Number one, as far as the DGCA is concerned, that is the regulatory authority that overlooks everything that is a safety concern. Ironically, of course, there are a lot of problems with our regulatory agencies. That said, and I'm all for making them completely independent constitutionally, like the CAG. Right now, they're not. They are appointed by the government, and that's a big mistake because they can be under the influence of private players, as we've seen in TRAI and other telephony sectors. Here, ironically, the Indian air safety record has improved over the last 5 or 7 years. There could be multiple reasons for that, increased reportage being one. But the fact is, over the last 5 years, DGCA has enforced on average 500 enforcement every year. That is an increase of 25%. It has fined more airlines, although I don't know whether that makes a difference. But more importantly, it has conducted almost 5,000 surveillance checks that are related to safety. And that is the reason why India's now on the air safety index jumped from 102 rank to 48 rank. Be that as it may, as I said, one must go to the bottom of this. Now, one problem that I have with, again, as a layman with the flight data recording thing, is that even though, yes, it's been procured, and of course, we would know the reality in the coming days. But as you've seen from the visuals that you made public yesterday, it took only 30 seconds from actually liftoff to the crash of the plane. And in fact, more worryingly, only the last 10 seconds were problematic. The 20 seconds or 30 seconds, there was no issue at all. So I don't know what information can be gleaned from those paltry 7 to 10 seconds. That is, of course, for the experts to say. Finally, I would like to say this. Every accident is an accident that is unacceptable. But at the same time, unless we find out the reasons without speculation, I think we would be doing disservice not only to the pilots, Hina, but also to the people who are flying.
Well, absolutely. Some very important points you've made, and I want to take those across to my other guests who've joined us as well. We have Air Marshal Dr. Rajiv Sachdeva, former Center Director, National Technical Research Organization. We also have with us John Cox, former pilot and CEO and Safety Operating Systems. Good evening to both of you as well. John Strickland, coming to you. You know, tonight this question is also being asked because we did see grounding of 737 MAX taking place by Boeing, the global fleet, because there were 2 back-to-back crashes within a span of 6 months. And here, first time, as Dr. Ranganathan also mentioned, first time, this particular Dreamliner has also crashed. Is it because of a monopoly that we have to wait for proof but live with the risk?
No, I don't believe that's the case at all. We do have, as you say, two major suppliers of aircraft to the world's airlines, Boeing and Airbus. Both have had very good safety records until Boeing blotted its copybook, so to speak, from 2018 onwards with those two crashes that you rightly mentioned of the 737 MAX aircraft. And that has led to them coming under incredible regulatory scrutiny in their home country, in the USA, and indeed from regulators the world over. They've been through 3 CEOs since those accidents happened, and certainly many things have come out of the shadows, which quite honestly never should have been in the shadows in terms of the way the company had gone. You could say a cultural change where there was not the kind of focus, the preeminent focus on safety and quality that one would expect from Boeing, a company that nearly 1 century vintage in producing airliners. But that work is still going on. The manufacturer is still under restriction. The current CEO is definitely doing all the right things in terms of changing the culture of the business, showing much more transparency, even in the message of condolence that he's issued to Air India in the last 24 hours, and of course Boeing taking part in the investigation of this particular tragic accident. But you mentioned earlier about the 787 when it came into service more than a decade ago, having challenges with its lithium batteries, which is correct. But that is an issue which is now well understood, and rectification was made to ensure that that could not cause an accident, a catastrophic accident. And I would concur with what your panelists have said so far in terms of we have very well tried and tested safety procedures in place, investigating accidents. We have to get the data from the black boxes of the aircraft, along with the visual evidence and the debris, before we jump to any ill-informed decisions concerning the aircraft's ability to stay in service. And we also have to recognize the progress Boeing has and is making. They know they are not out of the woods yet, and they have to get back to that position of exemplary safety performance.
Okay. And Aurobindo Handa, do you agree with this point of view that Dr. Ranganathan has put across? And also, at least to begin with, can we expect DGCA to perhaps, order some kind of a safety audit of all the Dreamliners here in India that we have?
See, Air Marshal Sachdeva has already told you that we should have something tangible on which we need to act. So we need to exercise patience. Let something come out. Let some inputs be given by the investigating team. Based on that, the checks should be instituted, or one-time check should be instituted. Otherwise, we are groping in dark.
What do you like to say in that case, sir? What do you like to say in that case about the red flags that have been raised already, and all are talking about 787 Dreamliner only? Here I'm not even looking at the questions that were raised around 737 MAX or any other aircraft by Boeing, but for 787 it seems that corners were being cut.
Okay, I ask one counter question. The discussion was on the point that the DGCA has issued some 5-6 checks. They have sent a letter to Air India that because in India Air India is only operating 787s. So I would ask how they have come on those checks. Why not yesterday? Why not on the 11th of June? Why today? So, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. I was keeping quiet. That doesn't make sense.
Okay.
That's reactionary. If we are so competent, then we should have woken up and we should have issued it before. That is called predictive, not reactionary. So let's wait for this. Now, when the accident has happened, now the ball is in AIB's court. It is no longer in DGCA's court. Wait for it. Let AIB guys and the investigating team, whichever is cobbled up now, let them come out with something, and then based on that, DGCA will issue. Then based on those inputs, it is DGCA's job to get it done. Please understand the working of AIB and DGCA.
Okay.
While DGCA is a regulatory authority and they issue the checks, AIB doesn't do that. But when AIB finds it and they issue a recommendation or an interim recommendation, that is given back to DGCA to act upon. AIB does not interact with the airlines. Please understand.
Okay. Okay.
So there's a way. So AIB's role is only a fact-finding body.
Okay. So you're saying allow the facts to come out and then only perhaps look at what can be done and what should be done. Dr. Ranganathan wants to respond very quickly and then John Cox.
No, very quickly, I completely agree with the points that Mr. Handa has made, but with due respect, I'd like to say that the point I was making is completely detached from the conducting of the investigation. What I'm pointing out is that, as they say, Caesar's wife must be above suspicion. Now, you know what happens when government to government, you have these multi-billion dollars deals running into hundreds of billions of dollars when you buy these aircrafts. In fact, India recently bought a clutch of Boeing aircraft, and every prime minister to president was congratulating each other. So when you have an agency that is looking into the safety of these very aircrafts that run into tens of hundreds of billions of dollars, there is a clear conflict of interest. I'm not insinuating anything wrong. What I'm saying is, as the adage goes, Caesar's wife must be above suspicion. So pending the investigation, detached from it, we must have a completely independent agency looking into the safety aspect of these airlines.
Okay.